Hello, all.
Welcome, Hormetic Monks, episode 10.
Episode 10.
What?
Yeah, milestone.
Right. It's Deca.
Deca.
Deca. This is a Deca episode.
Deca.
Deca for 10.
Where's that language again?
Deca is like it's disseminating. I think it comes from Roman times.
Okay.
Because it's like a decade is like 10 years.
Deca. Okay, yeah.
Centimeter, decimeter, but it's also like decimated. Decimated is like ripping into 10 pieces. You're decimated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. There we go.
There you go.
Now you know.
But welcome. This episode we're going to talk about the whole. We're going to with a little bit of rural America, not really know what's going on type of way. We're going to talk about the Putin. Not to say Middle America doesn't know what they're talking about, but the Putin Ukrainian invasion and America and kind of what we see just from a superficial level.
Superficial.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Go.
Okay. I think you met Tucker Carlson Putin interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
and that just came out February 6th of 2024. He went to the Kremlin.
Yeah.
And interviewed Putin there. And it is interesting to think about how a lot of people are frustrated with Tucker Carlson for actually interviewing Putin. Mm-hmm. Some people are happy with it. Some people are praising Tucker for it. Other people are saying that he shouldn't. Yeah. What do you think about it? Do you think he should have interviewed him, or do you think not?
I definitely do think that. I think it was a good thing because a lot of times I've realized that that people like to just lay things out as evil, or you shouldn't have done things like that, and not explain this is bad, for instance, and then that leave it at that, and then in your mind it's bad, and you just go along with that.
Right.
So I think that it was good for him to interview him and be like, okay, this is a person. It's not built up in your head. It's not like the devil. But yeah, I think that, there has been crazy stuff that Putin has done. Obviously.
Right.
And in Tucker's interview, he's like, I don't like Putin that much. I don't agree with Putin. I don't support Putin.
He doesn't.
But he interviewed Putin. And, secret CIA was tracking him and everything, and he was going to interview him before, and they made it not possible. So that's overreach in government. Before there was journalists left-wing journalists that were interviewing him before, and they got applause and all that stuff. And then when Tucker does it, it's the complete opposite. So it's not being treated fairly.
Yeah. I think Barbara Walters interviewed Putin back in the day.
Yep.
And no one had a problem with it then, but all of a sudden when it happens, when it's Tucker Carlson,
mm-hmm.
who's a independent journalist or
independent, and people call him right wing, but literally they're not. They identify as I don't know if Tucker. He's not a right wing, a hardcore right wing conservative. Brett and Eric Weinstein, they're labeled as far right. As if they don't agree with one side, then they're labeled another side. They're actually middle ground.
Right.
And they were identifying as the left before.
Right.
And basically, they're calling it crazy. Bill Maher, he's always been more left wing. His ideas are that side.
And now people are saying that he's right wing, which is insane.
It's a psychological contagion. To me, what it looks like.
Yeah.
It has all religion fascinates me because I grew up religious, and I look at cults because I'm like, I realize I'm like, bro, I would fall into a cult so easily. Like, so you study cults. Like, they look appealing. And
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, the Tucker Carlson thing with Putin was interesting. I think there was, I heard someone say like Putin's playing like a 3D chess game, and I heard a comment that I agree with. I don't know if it's right or not, but Putin wasn't very aware of a move that he could have done that would have been a benefit to their side, which was to freeing that guy that's in prison he's like a journalist or something.
Yeah,
or
he was a journalist, and I forget which broadcasting news network he was a journalist for, but apparently he was also accused of espionage, of being a spy.
Yeah.
Now, I think Tucker Carlson was even kind of picking at it, which was, there's a difference between being a spy, and also there's a difference between that and being handed information as a journalist that you shouldn't have been given, or you shouldn't have got, and then you just caught up in something, and you're not really a spy, but now you're accused of being a spy and you're cast into prison.
Yeah.
But I totally get Putin's side, because hey, why not use him as a bargaining chip for getting some of your guys free?
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I think if he understood the situation better, he would have, because it would have bolstered. I think it would been because Tucker's position is actually Elon Musk, he's like saying all that's going on is you're destroying the flower views in Ukraine,
Right.
because from what I'm hearing, and that's it's horrible. Like they're conscripting people, and it's not even conscripting. They're forcing people to the lines now.
Yeah.
And the average, the age, all their population is all their fighting age men are I think most of them are gone. Like they're all dead now.
Yeah, I think they even raised the age, and I think they may even lower the age, because I think they tried to initially when they first have a draft, and I'm a little shaky on this, but I think they try to get somewhere like 21 to 24 or something, that age group, and then if things get bad enough, they'll go even further. And I think right now it's like 18 to 30.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much everybody.
I think it's even older than that. I think that they're forcing people. They're literally forcing people to go up to the front lines now. Like all almost all ages.
I saw a video of
but that could possibly not be true. But that's what I'm hearing. But that could be propaganda. You don't 100% know. But Russia's a way larger country. They have way more people to send to a war.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine does not.
Yeah, I heard that so this is an interesting little statistic that I just learned about. Well, I'll get into that in a second, but I did want to say I did see a video of I think he was like a 27-year-old or something that was hiding, trying to not get sent to the front,
Mm-hmm.
and they came and they pulled him out of I think it was an apartment or something, and forced him into a van to join the military.
Yep.
And that's really brutal. It's weird to think about how, in my mind, it's like I'll quote Elon Musk, where he says, a government is just a corporation with monopoly and violence.
Yep.
And it's interesting to think how there's all these countries, and they're really just huge corporations with monopolies on violence, and they're sending this corporation is sending their people, and this side, and this corporation is sending their people, and they're just killing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to think about, because it'd be like if Microsoft sent a bunch of their employees over to Apple to go kill them. Like, it's gang wars, but on a huge national level.
Yeah.
And I get that sometimes that might be necessary, but that should not be. It should be the last resort. And I feel like Putin might think that he's at that point, and that's kind of what he even said. Is he says hey, NATO's been pushed 5 times towards my doorstep, and I literally have no other option because they're threatening the security of Russia.
Yeah.
So that I kind of,
you kind of get the other side. Like there was a red line in the sand, and that was it. We will retaliate if you do this,
and they did.
They did. So
it's tough.
it just seems to me like just like Afghanistan, like it was who's getting rich off of that? That's the big corporations and the lobbyists are promoting war because they want, that's where they make their money. I mean,
Lockheed Martin and all those people.
So it's an industrial concept, industrial complex, and
military industrial complex.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I think it's from my perspective. I think it's evil to. What are the benefits? Like it just seems crazy that the left is so dead set on this war. Why?
Right.
And they're just seeing. Are they really trying to go to war with Russia?
Well,
because it seems like that's what they're. It seems like, I mean, because that would last forever, and like, then it's a whole other thing, and it's scaled up even more. So then you make, but from my understanding is our ammunition reserves have been getting depleted from sending. I mean, because that money is like weapons and all that going to Ukraine. And then you got weapons and stuff going to Israel. So our national security is going down.
Yep.
Like,
so I have a conspiracy theory to put forward.
That it's outside, like China, Russia. I mean, right now we have, I don't know, like, supposedly, I don't know if the statistic is correct, but supposedly there's a 500% increase in Chinese people coming to the United States, and they're all military age. And when you ask them questions, they act like, oh, so why do you want to come to America and stuff like that? And they just seem very like
shady about it.
Sketchy, shady, and it's like that is worrisome.
Well, I also heard, and I have no idea if this is true, but it seems like this is a lot of speculation. But like I heard that a lot of Chinese nationals were coming across the southern border, and that our National Guard, who knows if this is true or not, but they were preventing, they were basically stopping some of the Mexican men. They were allowing the women and children, the Mexican women and children through, and they were particularly allowing any Chinese men through. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard someone told me that, and it kind of lends itself to a conspiracy theory that I thought of, and I'm sure other people have thought about this too. But as I was listening to the Putin interview, it kind of struck me because Russia is powerful, but it's not as powerful as the United States.
He said, "My friend Xi Jinping."
Yeah. Well, but listen. So there's Russia has about 150 million. That's their population roughly, 150 million. America, roughly 370 to 380 million. We're much bigger.
300. I thought it was like 300.
No, well, at least that's not what I saw online. But maybe we could fact check that.
Maybe, I mean, that could have been I mean, it would go up because we've got a bunch of.
You can't fact check it. I told you to fact check.
That's why I want my other phone.
Just to check to see if you knew if you had a phone. No, just kidding. I actually forgot myself.
I could get my computer really quick.
All right.
Might as well.
Do it. And then India has about 1.5 billion for population, and China has about 1.5 billion as well for their population.
Wild.
So they both. I think it goes. India is has the biggest population in the world. Then China has the next biggest population. Then it goes
331 million.
Is that?
Oh, that's 2021.
Wait. How many people? No. Okay, 331 million.
That's 2021 though. 20.
Do 2023 at least. What does it say?
Will be
335 minutes. 2024. Okay, so I thought I was wrong. I thought it was 380 million.
Yeah.
Okay, look up Russia. Population of Russia. If I'm wrong on that,
150
then
sounded low.
it does sound low, just intuitively to me
It's
too.
the biggest
but
country in the world.
maybe it was the article I was reading.
I think, right? Yeah, Russia is.
As far as landmass, yes.
Oh, 143 million. Wow.
That's of 2021, 143 million. But I can't imagine if the United States hasn't grown that much, they haven't grown that much either.
144.
Yep, so 144 million. So I was a little bit wrong on the United States population. So what, 335 million?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
For United States, and there's approximately 143 million in Russia, about 150 million. But then India surpassed China. I think it was like last year. They have 1.5, I believe, and China is just right underneath them at like close to 1.5 billion.
1.436.
Yeah, so 1,436,885,993 based on projections. United Nations. So these are United Nations projections too.
Huh. Wow, they're very, very close.
So you think about
That's
that. That's
interesting.
a lot bigger than us, as far as just population wise.
That's almost 5 times.
Yes. So then you look at this. So then think about this. But where is Russia geographically? Right. So it's East Asia, it's Eurasia, right? It's east.
We share a border with Russia. Or across the chain.
Crossed on the other side of Alaska.
Yep.
Yes. So then think about this. Think about this. You know, Putin said in his interview that China has already surpassed us economically, which hey, fair, maybe they make a lot of stuff, right? Then you sit there and you go, okay. So another thing Putin said was that Ukraine is a puppet state of the United States. He said like Zelensky is basically just a puppet for the United States. He said there was a coup d'etat, basically a coup that overthrew the Russian government back in 2014, and now it's ran by the United States. And basically he's saying that like they're using Ukraine to like essentially wear Russia down. And it makes sense in one way, because if you think about it, if NATO has expanded 5 times, which I think there's like 31 countries in NATO, it's like the United States obviously in NATO. There's France, Germany, United Kingdom, and then I think a lot of the I think Norway just joined not too long ago. There's a few other countries that are like pretty prominent, and then there's a lot of European countries are in NATO as well. Is it?
Has been an active participant since 1940.
Okay, so not recent. There's been 1949. Anyways, so think about that. So you have NATO, right? And Russia saying, hey, don't continue to push towards our borders, and yet they continue to push. And then you have Russia saying that Ukraine is basically a puppet for United States, and I think sure, I mean that I can see that, and in a weird way, it's kind of like, you know, if you're American, you're like, I don't want to see any death or anything like that, but you still kind of, you don't want it to be through military conquest, but you still want America to remain number one. But so you think about that, and you're like, okay, you know, I could see like the American government being like, okay, we need to control Ukraine. Hang on. So wait before you say anything. So this is my theory though. What if there's been ties, and this is a big stretch here, but this is just my mind doing things. You know, you have Joe Biden, the president. Then you have his son, who did he had a lot of ties into Ukraine. Then you also have, there's been some reported ties of Joe Biden to China as well, as far as a lot of money going back and forth, right? So then my mind jumps to the conclusion, not to the conclusion, but mine jumps to, if I want to throw out a conspiracy theory, what if China, with its maybe now superior economic power, also a rival military power, has co-opted some of America's leaders, and then is using America to wear down Russia, who's real close to them, because you have China, you have Russia here, and they're using Ukraine to wear down Russia through America, and the whole thing is to deplete the reserves of Americans, deplete Russia, and then they're just way up the top, and they don't have to do anything. They're all hands
It's
up.
having an opposite effect, complete opposite effect.
Okay, go for it.
So the reason being is, if you look in history, World War II, the United States, we did not do very well at the beginning of the war, which
Wait, World War II?
World War II.
Okay.
So you may have the best equipment and everything like that, or good equipment, or outdated equipment at the beginning of the war. Where the countries start doing well, in some situations, as long as resources and everything like that are intact, the better they do.
Sure.
So Russia was not doing very well at the beginning of the war. But instead of doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, they changed things up.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of doing the typical way of warfare, they're updating and using drones way more. They're overwhelming. From my understanding, they've got a whole, they switched to drones like Ukraine was doing, and they've got more advanced drones.
Sure.
And it's really interesting. Drone warfare is literally going to be overtaking a lot of in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I would bet. We'll check this later on. Remember, I'll try to remember. But in the future, typical warfare is going to be using drones way.
Sure. Why use your people when you can use your drones?
So what makes sense to me is the United States recognized, they're getting a bunch of data from this. They're recognizing.
Okay. Yep.
They're using Ukraine as a proxy. They can only go so far in a war with Russia because they have nuclear arms. So if what you were saying is China wants to take on Russia, it doesn't make.
No, I don't think they want to take down Russia. What I think they want to do is I think they want to have Ukraine as the kind of the quasi battlefield for Russia and America to just wear them both down economically.
Well, they kind of have done that a little bit. Who's benefiting the most?
I don't think they actually care too much about Russia as much as they care about the United States getting worn down.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Russia is much of a threat to China. I think that the United States is the biggest threat to China.
But the United States just put out something that's interesting, which is disturbing and both interesting. Is they sent out something to the citizens, anybody in drones, they offer, I forget what they were offering, but come up with drones for the military.
Wait, this is Russia?
The United States.
The United States did what now? They're offering people rewards for coming up with military drones?
Yeah, drones or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But the United States is gaining tons and tons of data because the world is changing so fast.
Yeah.
If they're not in a war necessarily, then they're not going to know exactly what's going to work.
They're losing their edge.
A lot of times you have this new advanced warfare system or some new weapon, and you don't know how it's going to work until it's battle tested.
Yeah.
You think, oh, you're super optimistic, and then it's garbage. It doesn't work very well.
It's almost like the United States is watching a gameplay from it's with also there it's like if you're gonna go up against the Chiefs for a Super Bowl, and you're the 49ers, you want to watch the Chiefs play other football games and analyze their key players, see which plays they run, see which players are really good, what assets they have, see how their coach handles things, and then that way when you're playing a game with them, then you can be right on the cutting edge. Not only that, but they're able to deploy some of the weaponry from America in Ukraine against the Russians and see how it fares. Yeah. But you think about it. Meanwhile, Russia and the United States are doing all this stuff. China not doing anything.
They're able to learn. China has an edge because they're we're not going to put all this money into. They're putting tons of money into research and development, but you already know their drone technology is insanely good. DJI FPV, Chinese,
Just Chinese.
and it is the biggest drone.
Although they need Taiwanese chips.
Huh?
They still need Taiwanese chips though. Need them?
Need them?
Yeah. Taiwanese chips.
Chips. Yeah, chips.
Yeah.
For some reason, yeah. Anyways, yeah, they need the weapon system. Like, yeah, they after a while, like I mean, they're building new chip manufacturing plants all over the United States. Massive projects going up right now, but it's going to be probably in, I guess, another 2-3 years before they're. I mean, it can take a long time. Maybe look that up. That'd be interesting.
What?
How long until American?
Okay, so we're looking up how long until American chip manufacturer plants are ready, up and running, because a lot of our chips we also get from Taiwan.
Yeah.
And so we're looking that up to see if there's anything right now on the interwebs about us, because we're ramping up ramping up production of a lot of like the things that we might need if we end up in a war with China.
Yeah, we got 35 fabs being built.
Okay.
In the United.
And fabs would be fabrication.
Yeah.
Fabrication, probably manufacturing plants.
So it's semiconductor plants. 38 of the semiconductor fab being built are located East and South Asia, mostly China. Okay, that's not what I was looking for.
Which I believe, so the semiconductors, that's like all silicon based,
Yeah.
from what I understand,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
But yeah, it's the price point they can build them or build the chips way less expensive in other countries,
Right.
Pretty much. But now it's a security issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah, well, and so, but, you know, regardless of whether that conspiracy theory is true or not, I think that it is interesting to listen to Putin being interviewed, because you can kind of, not that I trust Putin at all, he's a politician just like our politicians, but it kind of, you know, I feel like if you listen to both sides, you can kind of sort of get the theme of probably what's semi-true.
Well, at least you have an idea. You can look at both sides. Okay, what
Right.
is he lying for this, and what are the outcomes of each,
Right.
like two different situations?
Right, incentives.
Yeah, but from what I heard, I mean, this could be propaganda. He was really isolating himself. He was making a lot of enemies during the during the Ukrainian war. And like he would be like across the table way away from him as other people or the people that he was talking to, his government officials, stuff. I don't know if all that's true,
Yeah.
but I wonder how much he knows about Tucker.
Well, it seemed like he knew a lot in the interview.
Okay.
Because he was like, yeah, he says, I think it was when Tucker asked him if who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of a humorous response.
He's like, you did.
He said, you did, of course. And then Tucker was like, oh, he says, no, thank you. But he says, I had an alibi that day. Mm-hmm. And then Putin goes, you maybe, the CIA did not. Which I thought was awesome response. But I think it was near around that time where Putin said something about Tucker, the organization that you wanted to join. Mm-hmm. And then he says, thank God they didn't let you in. And he said, they are a serious organization, of course. And he says, you know, I was in the KGB. And he said, like, basically, a lot of people were saying, was that a kind of a slight towards Tucker? Like, hey, bitch, I made it into my my intelligence agency. You could not, you know, type of thing. Who knows? But like, it did provide one thing, and it brought one thing to light, which is that Putin definitely knew something about Tucker's history. Now, I'm sure he didn't research it himself. He probably said, hey, go give me some information about Tucker. But there was a couple times in the interview where Putin seemed to know some things about. Well, the other thing he started the interview with was he said, your background is, your educational background is history, right? And he goes, yes. And he said, okay, well, let me give you some history, some background of like Ukraine and where Ukraine came from and where Russia came from. And then he goes all the way back to like the year 862. And then just like for 40 minutes, just sits there and talks one thing after another, like, oh, 862, and then 1862 was the 1,000-year anniversary, and talks about like I think it was like, was it something Ulrich or something like that, or it was some weird name. It was like a Scandinavian prince that force was invited from the townspeople in Novgorod or something, or Novgorod or something like that, and it was like that's how Russia first got started, and they called it Rus. So the first name for Russia was Rus. So that was kind of interesting. Anyway, but it did seem like Putin definitely knew some things about Tucker. Yeah, knew his educational background, knew he wanted to be in the central.
That could be just a simple profiling.
It is a simple profiling, but it shows that he's intelligent enough to actually care who he's talking to.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I also got the other thing I got from that, the takeaway that I got from that whole episode or that interview was that like it's sad because when I listen to Joe Biden, I'm going, dude, what are you even talking about, bro? Mm-hmm. And then you listen to at least the translation of Putin, and it's like, wow, this guy's pretty intelligent,
Yeah.
Or at least he knows how to talk.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's from what my understanding, to become the leader of Russia's like really dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah, I mean, he had to poison a few people apparently. That's also allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
But
yeah, it was interesting. I know that some people were like saying, hey, we should sanction Tucker, and right after what I thought was very interesting, right after that he went to
the World Economic Forum?
Something. Tucker latest interview.
No, I haven't watched that one. I did see that there was a...
The Economic Times, yeah.
Okay.
World Government Summit. That one was interesting. I didn't want to...
No, it's not economic. The Economic Times, that's not related to The Economist. The
reveals why he interviewed... Yeah, I know, but...
No, I was
World
asking.
Summit.
I didn't know.
Yeah. World Government Summit. I listened to that whole thing. It's this... that one was very good. Tucker was very open about everything.
Yeah.
He also went into like how clean the Russian cities and everything, where he's like you go from there and then to the United States. He's like our cities, they're full of garbage. They the way everything's being run. He's not being like, oh, their system is better than ours necessarily. He's just saying like the way things are being run, it shows. It shows like our cities are not safe.
Yeah.
Like he's like all these other I forget which city he was mentioning in Japan. He's like, it's beautiful, it's safe, like advanced, like the train systems. There's no graffiti. They're not breaking down all the time.
Yeah.
Those are serious symptoms. Like it really makes me nervous. I mean, just the other day, I was driving Michigan. I can't remember if it was Detroit or not, but the whole intersection, like, it was just trash.
Yeah.
Like, not just a little bit of trash.
You'll find a lot of that in Hammond.
Yeah, maybe that's where it was.
Probably
was.
Hammond, Indiana, Gary, Indiana. Do you know this? Just the Gary, Indiana used to be actually the murder capital of the United States.
Oh, wow.
For a period of time. It's now changed, but it used to be the murder capital of America, and it's still real bad.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's very disconcerting. to me, it just, I know with me, I've felt disenfranchised by living like the way everything has been going in this country, and it really seems like there is purposeful stuff going on. It's not conspiratorial. It's like, I mean, to me, it just looks like it's indirect warfare. It's not direct warfare. It's a slow poisoning of a system, and I have more appreciation for what the United States is, or like the experiment of the United States. Like, it's the most unique thing that in recorded history, the way that everything was structured.
Our democratic republic.
Yeah, which it's not. I don't think you really can call. I mean, the way things are being handled right now, there's so much power on one side that it's, to me,
It's crony. There's a lot of cronyism going on.
Yeah, it's very, very nerve-wracking for me, because I mean, if you look in history, there's just examples. Like, if you look in history books and you just pretend, like, if you look at this from years and years, I mean, 100 years from now, if you look back in history and look at the symptoms of other times in history,
yeah,
there is a pattern, and the United States is on that pattern.
Yeah. Shout out to a book that I think everybody should read, which is Ray Dalio, The Changing World Order.
Ray Dalio?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on my Audible account if you want to check it out.
Oh, I'll listen to that.
Yeah.
Probably not this week because I'm going to be driving to Chicago. But,
yeah. But definitely once.
Ray Dalio, remind me, because I mean, that is the cool thing about being in the trucking industry. By the way, this was my first week.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Let's deviate for a minute.
I got this guy who's been working in the trucking industry for like 30 years or something.
Dang.
He used to haul mobile homes and all that. He's like, yeah, he's quite a character. He's like jokes around with everybody he interacts with.
Yeah.
Actually, very patient. Like, didn't get frustrated. Very calm. I mean, granted, like, I've already had experience driving big trucks and stuff.
All that stuff. Yeah.
He's like, I can tell you've been driving before, so that was cool. He gave me
Props.
really gave me like good feedback, and like said, yeah, told like one of the managers, he's like, yeah, he's doing great. So maybe that influenced him to send me to Chicago early.
He's like, hey,
So
he's doing pretty good. Let's send this boy right to Chicago.
Send him right into the fire. So,
But so let's see here. You did kind of your orientation this last week, right?
yeah, Monday
and through Friday, and then this next week you're headed to Hammond, Indiana, but then you're going to be doing local driving around Hammond and also into Chicago.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of a stress test from not stress test, but like I'm gonna be driving there here and there doing over the road.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be with the trainer for the next couple days, week, backing into crazy spots, which. Yeah.
Oh, I got a brief fun story for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and how long are you going to be doing? How long are you going to be doing that? How long are you going to be in Hammond?
Maybe a week.
Maybe a week.
I don't know. They actually didn't.
Really
I'm
specify.
assuming it's going to be the whole week.
Okay.
I think it is.
And then you'll be back here then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be back probably Friday.
Because they have a terminal in Grand Rapids as well, right? Or
yeah. I'm Hudsonville.
Hudsonville.
They got a terminal in Hudsonville. Yep.
Okay.
So I'll be with another trainer for another week.
So you're switching trainers?
Yeah, again. They're just wanting me to get good
a wide variety of.
It just worked for them,
Cool.
schedule wise, and then fourth week. I don't know if they'll have me do one more training week or they'll send me out.
Yeah.
So
probably depending on.
I think
how
it's
they
a
feel
total of a month. But.
Yeah, that's typical. Like that's what I had as well. So I'll tell you the it's just kind of a funny little thing that happened. I was driving in Chicago, kind of on the Dan Ryan Expressway there, and they're you know, it goes under some bridges, and you're kind of right kind of in the midst of Chicago, and I'm driving along, and you know, I'm not typically like, I'm almost 100% of the time just chill now, but you know, Chicago's pretty tight, and I was sitting there and I'm like looking at this one truck, and I think it was like a Warner or something. I don't know what company it was, but I'm like, God, this guy's getting over in my lane. I'm like, I gotta watch this guy. And then I'm like, you know, start looking at traffic, and I'm like, man, these are tight. And I'm like, I hate Chicago. You know, I'm just kind of like rambling, talking to myself, you know. I'm like, God, stupid Chicago. And then there's like another truck on my right, and then this guy's on my left, you know. And I kept paying attention to him, because every once in a while he just like shift over to my lane. I'm like, hey, watch it, buddy. You know, I'm like talking to him and inside the cab. And anyway, so then I ended up passing him, and didn't really think much about him, you know, after that. And then I'm driving along, and this is maybe like 5 minutes later. Well, he comes up on my left, and coming up kind of fast, and I kind of look over, and I'm looking over just as he's passing me, and the idiot swerves over a little bit and flips my mirror.
Oh, jeez.
With his mirror. And I'm like, it's like, bam! And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like looking at him, and I'm looking at the mirror, and I'm like looking at the mirror, and I'm like, it's okay. Weird. And I'm like looking for any damage, I don't see any damage, and I'm like thinking I should write down his license plate, and I'm like, nah, there's no damage. And then I'm like, I should pull over and check, make sure there's nothing. And then I'm like, I'm in Chicago, I can't. So I'm like, whatever. So then I as soon as I get to like I got to one of those Oasis things, and I pulled off and looked at it, and it was fine. Because the mirrors are meant to, they can actually, you know, swivel a little bit. They have like basically little wires in there, and so it allows it to move. But yeah, that's something like I've always been cognizant of other drivers, like other truck drivers with their mirrors, because you know my dad has had it to where I think he's had it 3 or 4 times where mirrors have hit his mirror, and so anyway, it's something to watch out for. I was always cognizant of it, but I haven't thought about it for a while, and then I was like thinking about this guy, and I was thinking about this guy hitting me, and then all of a sudden he hits my mirror, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But anyway, one of those things. But
yeah, it feels weird, like in like close traffic. I mean, on the highway, it's no
chill.
big, it's chill. Even if I've got 2 trucks on either side of me,
chill.
No big deal.
Chill.
It's just fine.
If they don't drift over.
Yeah. Yeah,
Losers.
but it's
Watch your lane.
Yeah, I definitely need more time backing up. I'm not a huge fan of Freightliner.
Is that
mirrors.
weird? Yeah. That's what you're driving? Cascadia? Freightliner Cascadia? Yep. That's what
I mean, it's a brand new 2024.
Nice.
But it's...
That's what I have too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Freightliner?
Freightliner Cascadia 2024. I got in it with, I think like 500 or 600 miles on it.
Nice.
So I put 17,000 on it.
But you got the full cab.
Yeah, I got the full sleeper cab. You have a day cab.
Yeah, I think the mirrors are smaller with
Could be, yeah, probably maybe to get to where you have view of a sleeper, you might have it a little louder. I've never driven it day cab. So.
I prefer it. I do not like the mirrors on the day cab.
Yeah.
I know, like, you got less visibility with your mirrors than you do with the
day cab.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is nice for me because like I've never driven a day cab, so I don't know. Like it's like you don't know the difference, so it's like for me, it's all I've ever known. So
driving, it's easier like taking corners and stuff. You don't have to go out as far.
Yeah.
So I'm going from a day cab to a full cab. And
Are you?
Over the road I will be.
Oh, right. You're saying eventually.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to this next week. But yeah, I'm curious to see how this guy has his mirrors though. Because anyways, that's a different topic. But yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
First
That's
week.
That's good.
We did have a situation Friday where we got stuck at a axle manufacturing plant, which was cool. I did go inside and see, like, they have a bunch of robots and everything. Like, I'm like, wow, never seen like something like that in person.
Yeah.
But it was super busy. We ended up going to 5 different loading docks before we got unloaded. We were there for 4.5 hours.
What in the?
Yeah, sucked.
So it's the same facility,
I think,
and they're pulling off parts to go to different warehouses, or not different warehouses, but different parts of the warehouse.
Well, no, they just didn't unload it. Like, I bet what it was, they were so busy, everyone was not happy, and they just kept on sending us around.
What?
Yeah. That's what it felt like.
So you would get in a dock, and then they would say, "Hey,
you're in the wrong dock. Go," and then you have to drive around this massive facility again.
Go all the way back around.
I had to drive around it. We drove around it 3 times, I think.
See, that's the stuff that makes you lose pay.
Yeah.
Because you're there for 4 or 5 hours, you're not getting paid. I mean, you're getting paid for 2 hours of it. Maybe.
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Because since we went to another location,
Time starts again.
Yeah. I'm like. So that is like $100 day or something ridiculous, probably. I don't know. Maybe
You lost some money there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad that I actually, but I need to stop messing with that. I thought yeah.
Did it stop?
No, it didn't. It did stop.
We're still at 44. Okay.
But,
yeah, that's annoying aspects of trucking, but
yeah, that's why I'm glad I'm doing over the road.
Yeah.
Because your region, like local. I mean, you're making. I mean, we were supposed to make like 4 or 5 stops that day.
Yeah.
And it was live unload, live load, live unload, live load, and then live unload.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but we only made it to 3 places.
Yeah, I think if I had my way, I'll just be dropping hubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's whatever. I mean. To me, it's like, oh, I love local. But you're gone 10, 12 hours a day.
Yeah, you're still.
That's like you're literally going to work, coming back, going to bed, and going to work. To me, there's no difference than doing over the road, and the pay is like way more.
Yeah, I think that there's pros and cons, but yeah. In that regard, this is the other thing I think about. Okay, so I'm gonna get up in the morning. I'm gonna make my breakfast. I'm gonna get in my car. I'm gonna spend 30 minutes going to work. Then I'm gonna get out of my car, take my lunch, go into a truck, get situated, drive for 10, 11 hours, possibly be out for 14.
Yep.
Get back, get in my car, drive 30 minutes home. So now there's an hour there.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Exactly.
And then I have to be back up and at it again, just like I would if I was a regional driver, at pretty much the same time, and do it all over again. I might as well just be.
You get a whole hour more. I'll get a whole hour more in a day. For myself.
By being regional.
By doing over the road. Yeah, regional. Yeah.
Yep.
So to me, I'm like, I'm glad. Because I was almost going towards local. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Because then I'm also on second shift, living with my brother. It's going to be loud upstairs, so I'm not going to be able to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Better be.
Yeah.
You're going to be on second shift?
I was going to be doing local.
Oh, right.
But with over the road, it's. I don't think there's a specific shift for over the road.
No, there are people that run at night and there are people that run in the day, but there's not really a clock in, clock out time with trucking, at least as far as I'm concerned. Maybe with local there for sure there's a start time, I'm sure, every day, but I just had to, I had a really crappy experience later, and I don't want to co-opt this whole podcast to talk about trucking, but
it's fine.
But I had a situation where I picked up a load out of Gary, and I had to take it to York. I think it was Yorktown, Indiana. And I started driving there. I was like, it was in the morning, like 7 or 8, and it was like 300 miles away or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was like, okay, gave them my ETA, and they're like, oh, you can't deliver this until midnight.
Jeez.
And I was like, okay. And I'm sitting there going, but I'm not night shift,
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, what's the latest I can deliver it? And what's the earliest? And they're like, the earliest you can is midnight. The latest you can deliver is 4 a.m. And I'm like, I'll be there at 4. So, but you think about that, I lost time that day.
Yep. Mileage.
I lost miles that day
Yeah.
that I could have driven. And my fleet manager even recognized that because she was like, well, I'll see if I can get you to drop it at a drop yard. And then she's like, your planner says we can't do that. And that's the things that are really frustrating.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, so, but kind of like, I guess like, let's kind of go back to the Russia Putin thing for a little bit. I think the main takeaway from that, or a couple main takeaways from it, was that it was good to. I think it was a good thing for Tucker to interview him because I think that anytime that there's more information that you let more people talk, the better, no matter who it is. Even if it's a dictator, Kim Jong-un, let him talk.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to agree with him. We don't have to like what he's doing. We don't have to agree with the way he runs his country.
Yeah.
But let him talk.
Yep.
Right? Because it's like the individual that, let's say there's a violent criminal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's violent, and you just say, okay, we're just going to put you in a hole for the rest of your life. I mean, you can do that, and maybe that's the best thing for society. But really, wouldn't it be better to talk to him, see where his brain's at, to see if you can kind of negotiate with him? Mm-hmm. Especially if they're running a country, running a superpower. You want to be able to have a dialogue with this person. You're not going to be able to. We can't just go in and take over Russia.
Mm-hmm.
You have to negotiate with them, and to be able to negotiate with them, you have to talk to them. So I'm in favor of information. I'm in favor of people talking. The kind of the other side of it is people criticize Tucker by giving Putin a platform because they're saying what you're doing is you're allowing him to spread propaganda to the American people, and there's a lot of people that listen to that interview and now are like not they're actually more. Putin came across as likable in some regard, but I sit there and I go, yeah, but we're a democratic republic. Mm-hmm. The only way a democratic republic works is for the populace to be educated.
Yeah.
And so if you think that our people are not dumb enough or are not educated enough or not smart enough to parse out and to not just trust everything that Putin has to say, then we're already doomed, bro. Like, we're already doomed. So let him have his platform, let him talk, and then we'll be able to, as an educated populace, we'll be able to parse it out. We can figure it out ourselves.
I think there is a certain level of education, but then I think that there is a massive percentage that are not educated. They will just go with what sounds good and feels good. And this is an important thing. Like, people can sound good, and really their intentions behind it are not good.
Agreed.
And it is people who think they can spot that stuff easily are fooling themselves, because it is not easy. It is super difficult. You can listen to a certain person being agreeing with everything, and then there's this like one little slip thing in there, and they throw it in there, and you don't even realize it.
Right.
And what is the intent behind the person? And it's something like, when I was younger, I wasn't even cognizant of it. I was just like, okay, whatever. But like, there are key things where, like, this person actually does not care about you at all, and they are just trying to get whatever they can out of it. They don't care what happens to you.
Right. They care about you
good
as long as you help them.
yeah, it's as long as they can get something out of you, that's what they care about. And for me, like, that's foreign.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand it. That's naivety. That's straight up naivety. And the reality is like, things that sound good, like, I gave the example of, like, the climate change thing. It sounded good, feel good, like it's optimistic. We're gonna do good, and then you look at the actual, like, what is being done to implement these things, and you play things out, and it's narrow lenses where you're just looking at the problem instead of seeing you're looking at solutions that aren't actual good solutions.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, what's the alternative? The thing is like, if people are not smart enough to listen to a Putin Tucker interview.
No, I'm in agreement. You need. It's good if you're saying that my population can't think for themselves.
You're doing.
That is purposely not what they're doing. They're purposely not giving the big picture. There is smoke and mirrors everywhere, and you're not getting correct information. It's so blatantly obvious now, which is disturbing.
Yeah.
When it's that blatantly obvious that there are just lies. Like, I've listened to the governor of California talking about
Newsom?
Newsom.
He's a real peach.
Yeah, Newsom talking about Biden, and like, it was funny. It was Joe Rogan talking to this guy about it. He's like, this sounds like he's in a movie. Like, it is so blatantly, like, not what he thinks, or like, maybe not. Maybe he does think that, which makes him even more crazy.
Yeah.
Like, holy.
Yeah. Shout out to the governor that closed down every winery in his state, except for one.
The one that's by him.
The one that he owns or has an equity share in.
Yeah.
We just talked about this. We don't want to cuss on this podcast.
Yeah.
But I feel like using real strong language right now
Yeah.
towards him. That is some crony capitalism right there, if I ever saw it.
Dude.
And he's
sucking up. The reason why he's doing that is because he wants to be president. That's what he wants.
Yeah, I get a real slimy vibe from that
Dude.
guy. Just slime bucket USA.
Did you hear about? He goes into this grocery store, and he's like, "What?" He asks like one of the people that work there, and it's being recorded. And he's like, "Why is there so many people stealing stuff?" And he blatantly said, "Oh, because of the governor." And he's right there.
He said that? Who said that?
The person that works at the grocery store.
Said, "Oh, because of the governor."
Yeah.
Ah!
Like, literally.
It's true though.
If that shows how disconnected and not in reality this dude is.
Right. Well, he's too busy drinking his Merlot while he's not masked up during COVID with all his buddies that are not masked up. Meanwhile, he goes back up on stage and says, "Everybody wear your mask."
Yeah. No, it's just I like the example I heard from Joe Rogan. They're so disconnected. So, like, people don't need their weapons and everything. While they have a full 8 security guards following them to the.
They're running 8 deep.
Yeah, and they're not concerned about. They are so disconnected from the regular person.
Yeah.
And those people are the people you don't want.
No.
Stop
playing with
that. Yeah. ADD. Yeah. It's wrong.
It is, and but so I think going back to what we were talking about earlier, which is I think that you're populous in a democratic republic now. If you want a autocrat run government, fine. If you want a communistic country like China, fine. You can do it that way. But if you want a indirect democracy, a democratic republic, you must maintain education throughout your populace. In order for that to be, they have to have critical thinking. Why do you go to college in the first place? They preach critical thinking. That's the thing. We're gonna bring you in to teach you and educate you on critical thinking. But then on the flip side of that, our government is saying, "Hey, we don't trust that you're educated and have a critical enough mind to listen to an interview between the Putin and Tucker, we don't think you can parse that out, which, hey, maybe it's true. There are a lot of people that are not educated, and whatever kind of sounds emotionally appealing, that's what they run with. But the thing is there are still a lot of educated people. There are still a lot of critical thinkers in the United States. And in order for us to be able to survive and thrive as a country, we need that open dialogue. We need independent journalists. We need our journalists to go out there and interview anybody that will talk about anything.
Yeah.
You know?
I do want to say something that I really, it hit me really hard. Like, people take for granted, and I've taken for granted the United States, the way it has, and it's an experiment, obviously. Like I said that, and that is a true statement. This is the exception. This isn't the norm.
Correct.
Everything else, that like the way that countries are operated is
Widely different.
In the history, it's been dictatorships, kings, and all that. And like this is the exception. Like, and it took thousands of years for something like this to actually happen.
Right.
It was crazy.
Yep.
Like super crazy for this to even exist.
Yep.
And it's literally amazing that this even happened.
Yep.
So like, it needs to be like, I feel like this needs to be like said more and more, because there is a real reality that this doesn't exist anymore. A real future that this doesn't exist, and it's not to put fear. Like I hate like having fear, but this is like legitimately happening right now.
Yep.
There's a legitimate case for the United States, like the current path that it's going. If not enough people wake up, start voting in their small towns, vote at the low level, for people that care. I don't care if it's right or left. I don't care if they're good people that are going in a direction that is pro-American, not let me fill my own pockets with money.
Right.
The way that the government is run, it can't be built from the top down.
No.
It's built from the bottom up.
Yep.
And I'm guilty of this. I didn't vote in the last election. I haven't voted in like my local town. It's hard. It's not publicized in the local towns.
No, it's not.
Really what we need small local journalists that are pro-American, like small town, like voting, like being aware of who your mayor is, governor is, who the
attorney generals, all those people.
Yeah, all the people from the, like, really get engaged with your local communities, because that is where you start.
That's where
and
the
then
battle's
it
won.
builds up.
Yeah.
Like,
and see, I think that's the thing is, like, if you go back to the beginning of our nation, the very beginning, I think the reason why this country worked and the ideologies that it was built on was because why? Our founding fathers were not just anybody. They came from England. Most of them came from England. And what were they running from there? Oppression. They were running from the governmental system that was over there, the kind of the monarchy that was over there at the time. And then they came to America to find a more free life. And then what happened? They started wanting to continually tax us over here as a satellite of England. And at some point we said, no taxation without
T-tax.
Yeah.
The foundation of America was like one of the Tea Party thing is one of the biggest moments in history where they were like, no, we're not getting taxed, and it was like something super minuscule.
Yeah.
And look at where the United States is right now.
We're getting
taxes, new tax, new tax.
and
Doesn't
inflation.
work. Does
and
not
inflation
work.
on top of it.
Yeah.
The hidden tax.
If you want less taxes, and it needs clean house almost to the situation where, and that the way you do it, lower, like the money is going in so many different directions. It's getting parsed out in so many ways, and they're not necessary. Most of them can be cut. Like actually, this trucker guy, he's like, there's this movie, I wish I could remember the name, but it was a situation where this president had a double to where he could go off and do his own thing. I think he had like a girlfriend or whatever, so it's horrible. But it's a comedy.
Getting something on the low.
Yeah. So like something happens, the president gets sick or whatever, so he's running. He's like, hey, you need to keep up this farce longer. Yeah. And he's like part of this community service where they were gonna give like, trying to figure out a way to raise like $500,000, whatever, for this organization to support kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, well, let's go look at what our government spending is. And the other accountant, he's like, if I ran my business like this, I would not be in business.
Right. Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny like little thing, but it's so true. Like it.
Yeah.
It's so much. I feel like it's so. Like it's like a clogged drain that's just piling up with sewage.
Yeah.
Like our system. It's bad. Like more laws. I heard something. When you implement a law, get rid of a law. Like law, it just gets everything gets more complicated, less efficient. Yes. I think that you look at the way that the economy was booming there for a while, especially more like after World War II.
Yes.
It was like economy was crazy. They had less inefficient things. More laws, more inefficiencies, and I get that. There are things that are really important.
Yeah.
Like labor laws and all that. But if you get to a certain point where these laws are obsolete, they're not gotten rid of. Yeah. And there needs to be something where once these things are obsolete, you get rid of them.
Agreed. Yeah.
More efficient systems.
I always have a hook for that, and I forget who said it, but sunset laws. So just as the sun goes up and it sets, every law needs to have a sunset clause where basically it has an expiration date, and at that point it needs to be reevaluated. Yeah. And so you could have a sunset clause be like 10 years, but it needs to have a point at which it expires. Yeah. And if it's not reevaluated, then it expires. And also, if our government can't review every law that expires because there's so many laws, perhaps maybe those need to expire.
Don't exist, but then you run into some issues.
Oh, it's possible, but
yeah.
Another thing that I kind of wanted to bring out, which is that we talked about education, critical thinking, the ability for it's a democratic republic, the ability for the populace to be educated and figure out things for themselves, and then to vote based on their critical thinking, right? That's important. But then the other thing that's important is, and I think it was just as much part of the essence of the inception of the United States as critical thinking or education was, which is, and it's written right into our national anthem, which is like, I was listening to Post Malone did the halftime show for the Super Bowl, right? And if you listen to the words, right, it goes, was it the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? So in order to be free, you must be brave. Yeah. And in order to be brave, you have to be free, because you can't be brave if you don't have the freedom. Yeah. And if you abdicate your freedom to your Governor Newsom, then you're abdicating your freedom, but you can't be brave. You're basically you're not being brave, because you're saying, I can't think for myself. You figure it out for me. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I think
it's an easy trap, and that's exactly where a dictatorship, fascist government wants. Yeah. They want you to not know what's going on. They want you to not know what is right and wrong.
They want you to
advocate. It's your duty to learn. Yep. And it sucks because we the working people don't have a lot of time to do it. I have the luxury of listening to podcasts and I'm interested in it. Yep. And you need people that are trustworthy. That's why there's a massive switch going on to the podcasting world. That's mainstream media now.
That is mainstream media.
I'm so happy about that.
And that's the other thing is when you abdicate your freedom, and and you're not brave,
You can't get it.
and you abdicate your power to your governor or to your president or to your Congress. At that point, what happens? They have the power. They end up installing laws that are favorable unto themselves, and people that are parasites on the government end up going into government because they know that they can extort and extract the value of the people directly from government. You know, shout out to the what's that lady in Congress, the old lady that is always doing the stock insider trading stuff. Allegedly.
Not Kamala,
Not Kamala Harris, but we all, you know what we're talking about. You guys know what we're talking about.
Right, yeah.
So, but you have these people, and then it starts attracting, and as the government starts getting more and more corrupt, it attracts more and more corrupt people. And I think you have to go back. You have to go back to the ideology that America was founded on, and it was founded on freedom. It was founded on bravery. It was founded on education, and that's what we need to go back to. And there's just too much crony capitalism going on, and I think we the people need to take control back.
Yep.
We need to take control back through our local government and through our Congress, through everybody. We need to say, hey, we have the power, not you.
Yeah, the world. So like the World Economic Forum is where all this crap is coming from. It is literally like, I think these people are horrible people, and I think that the reason why they're happening is their fingers have gotten in the United States and have, like, with funding and everything, have gotten people in place.
Shout out to Larry Fink.
Yeah.
Shout out to
anyway.
Shout out to Vanguard and BlackRock.
Yeah, you will own nothing and be happy.
We're not
Wow.
gonna-
And I heard something, I can't remember who it was from. You will own nothing and be happy, and it's still a freedom of your choice because you voted us in.
Yep.
And that's how they're justifying it's still freedom.
Projected.
It's like
2030, 60% of single family homes will be owned by basically the hedge funds. They're 60%. And then you sit there, and that's the other thing, and this is something I heard, and I don't remember where I don't even know how to attribute to this person because I forget who it was, but they said, you know, people think of slavery as you're enslaved, you're literally enslaved. But really, most modern day slavery is we pay you just enough to where you have to work all the time. When you have to work all the time just to put food on the table and just to have housing, at that point you don't have enough time to sit there and talk about who's controlling you. You don't have time to sit down and educate yourself. You don't have time to progress. You don't have time to strengthen your family unit. You don't have time to socialize. You don't have time for any of this other stuff. So you're stuck in slavery, modern day slavery, where you work 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and that's your whole life. You just become a battery for the economic system, and you just that's your whole life, and you die.
You're just an ant in an ant colony.
Yeah.
With no free ability to go do things that you want to do.
Right.
And that, to me, that is the thing I'm scared of the most. I want to be able to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's kind of some of our feelings on the Ukraine and Russia. I think that Tucker should go on and interview as many dictators.
I think he's on a whole tour. He's going all over the world. He's not coming. He planned it. He planned it in a way to where he's not coming back right away. And I think he's getting enough support from, like, letting other countries have a voice, which is so needed. Because literally, if you talk to other people in other countries, they're like, "What in the world is going on in the United States?" You can't hear what's going on. And I think that needs to happen more. Like, what is wrong with America?
Right.
Like, what is wrong? Like, people are freaked out.
Yep.
Freaked out because guess what? We're gonna feel the effects last. The effects,
Yes.
the other European countries, all the other countries.
Yes.
If the United States loses, the United States dollar is in jeopardy.
It is.
It is in such jeopardy that it's going to be taken over by, something else.
BRICS.
Yeah.
Have you heard about BRICS? So BRICS is China, Russia. There's a few other countries that have joined them, and they're basically coming. Dude, this is so interesting. So not to extend the podcast because I think we're wrapping up here pretty soon, but they are coming. So we have the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which I think it's a bad system, but IMF, International Monetary Fund, they actually are the ones that go around. They loan money to developing countries, but they do it in such a way where basically they put them in for debt bondage, essentially. So then they just become a battery for the United States because the International Monetary Fund is primarily interests are tilted and biased towards the United States, and then the other one is the World Bank. The World Bank does something similar. I don't understand the ins and outs of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund as much as I should, but everybody should look them up. BRICS, right? So the United States has our U.S. dollar and our currency system, along with the SWIFT financial system, and now BRICS, which is China, Russia, and there's some other countries too in there. I forget what the acronym stands for all the way, but they also came up with a system that's like the International Monetary Fund, a system that like the World Bank, and now they're lending to a lot of countries in Africa, and they're doing the same thing, but it's actually not now biased towards America. It's biased toward China and biased toward Russia.
Oh yeah. China owns or has loans out. And every country in Africa except for one owes money to China now, from my understanding. They're building railroads and stuff like that. It sounds great and all, but they only hire Chinese people,
Right.
a large sums. So
It's definitely biased towards them.
Biased towards them,
Yeah.
and then China's able to. They're like, hey, well, you owe us this amount of money. Now we need a military base here,
Right.
and you're gonna let us do it.
That's right.
Because you owe us this money, and we'll take money off for your debt that you owe us.
That's right, and that's the same thing that the United States has done. I don't like that the United States does that. So this is the thing. This is the problem with all these superpowers. The point is not that United States is bad or China is bad or Russia is bad. The point is they're all bad, bro. They're all bad. They all need to be downsized. The thing is Russia is counter to the United States, is counter to China, is counter to France, is counter to Germany. All these corporations with a monopoly on violence, they're all like counter to each other, and they send our young men to war to die for the older men that are in power in these big corporations. But the thing is like the difference between us and a Russian guy in Russia that's working class, and the difference between a working Chinese man and a working someone from Venezuela and someone from
There's a lot of common
There's
things.
no difference.
There's a lot of common
We
things.
all want similar things. We just want to take care of our family. We just want to survive, have peace, have a little bit of prosperity, and live our lives. But constantly, these big corporations, in the form of government, are ruining our livelihood. So,
Yeah, the power, like the seek of power in this for the sake of itself is evil.
yep. Or
Just to have power, and it's crazy. Like to me, it just seems like though it seems like I'm not gonna use that example. it seems like an insecure person that just wants to have power over another person. It's like that safety guy that isn't there for safety. He just gets his little insecure ego
it's a power
going that you cannot do this.
Yep.
You cannot do this. And I've seen it time and time again where you get these people that just they have nothing going in their lives and they just love that feeling of being able to tell someone else what to do.
Right.
And it's like, really? Like, what are you?
Right.
Like, what are you? Like, you're that insecure about yourself?
Right.
Like, it's a rare person where they are graceful when they have power.
Right.
And those are the gens. The gens. They're not immature, but those people, they don't seek out power, and that's why it's so common. You just get this insecurity bubble, and then it gets to then people are like, all right, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Then mature people come in that are like, you're ruining all our lives, and now we're going to do something. But there's nothing that they would rather do less than do something like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets to a point where those people don't go into power, don't do that, and then you have a fascist regime that takes over, and then you're in dark ages for it can be
thousands, years, millenniums.
I don't think that's going to be the case with information though.
Unless
information is completely controlled to a certain point. That's why people are like, I don't care who you are. If you hate Elon Musk, okay, you do not understand what he's done with X. I don't care if you disagree with him with other stuff, but the things he's done, like overpaying for Twitter, all the people that, there's craziness on X, but it's discourse and it allows people to talk. It's the only place not controlled by government going in the back door, like what they were doing with Twitter, releasing the Twitter files and showing that the FBI is telling Twitter employees to be able to do that, and that it's a whole game. It's like literally what China has been doing.
Yep.
Like our own government's doing. And if you think the United States is better than China, well, the stuff our government is doing is doing the same thing, and not for unnecessary evil at all. It's just completely wrong.
It's just for the consolidation of power. And if you go back to our founding fathers, most of them, if you read the biographies and the memoirs, a lot of our founding fathers did not want power. They did not, I think George Washington did not want to be president.
Yeah.
He did not want to be president, but yet he did it. Oh, no. But
he had teeth from
a slave,
from animals,
slave.
But he bought them.
Yeah, he didn't.
But they still had to pull them out. Pulled out another.
That's brutal. It wasn't perfect. It's a different time, but I do think
just imagine that smile. Animal teeth.
Anyway. Yeah, you got a donkey tooth right next to a slave's tooth right next to a cow's tooth.
Yeah.
That's got to be a messed up jaw right there.
Dude.
Those are messed up chompers.
This sounds like some Frankenstein horror.
Yeah, well,
anyways.
There's a joke by, shout out to Shane Gillis, because there's a joke by Shane Gillis. He's like, why do you think we won the war? He's like, do you know that in all those teeth fillings that George Washington had, he said there's lead.
He was mad.
He says, do you imagine? He's like a 6'3". He says, he said redhead, because I guess he was a redhead. And he says, which I didn't know.
Dude, the smile would kill you.
He said, just out in the woods, just angry, like, ah,
with a musket and a sword drawn, and there's just complete madness. That would be terrifying.
And then he talked about, he says, I think it was the British who were like, it was the whole thing where they crossed the Delaware River.
I wouldn't be scared of the British are coming,
right.
Washington's coming.
Right. Well, they said that, I think there's a picture of it too, where George Washington is on the front of a boat.
Yeah. And
he's kind of looking out into the night. And I think that's where they cross over the Delaware River and they basically attack the British. Yeah. And Shane Gillis was like, the reason the British lost that battle is, he said, because they looked at the Delaware River and they were like, there's no way a human would possibly try to cross that. And he said, they're right. He's like, no one sane would do that. He's like, but George Washington's just out there with his sword, just like, let's get in the boat. Let's go across the Delaware. But yeah, I think though the thing is most of our founding fathers, if you look at the memoirs and you look at the biographies, they did not want power. They did it because they felt like it was necessary.
Yeah.
It was necessary for the good of all.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to small government. We need to get back to where our leaders are doing it out of duty and not for personal gain. Mm-hmm. And just like Lord Acton said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
So
it's a little bit more common sense. Like if we had like just a little bit of common sense going on and not disconnected, things would be different. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It literally won't happen unless you start voting small, and like because we don't have choices really. You can vote. Well, the way that it's set up, only money and power can get you up there.
Yep. Well, that's what I forget. There's a slaver back in the day. Mm-hmm. This is scary. I forget who this guy was, but he had a quote that is scary. He says, "I don't care who does the electing, as long as I get to do the nominating."
Yeah,
So basically, he's saying, "I don't care who elects who, as long as I get to decide what your choices are."
Yep.
You could pick B, C, D, or E as long as I chose all these for you to select.
Yeah, here's the thing, I've had like this just kind of FU response to like when Trump is like the stuff that they're throwing at Trump when the other people are have done the same thing and you don't get results. But at the same time, I know like the craziness that's going to happen if he gets elected again and all that. So it's like, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I just look at history and like I don't know. I've had like kind of like this bias myself of like gravitating towards it.
Yeah.
And look at history and you look at people very charismatic, but I don't know. You see, I'm trying to think of it, like if there's a natural way that you want to go, like just support something because it goes along with your previous ideologies or beliefs. I'm really you gotta really think about it.
Yeah.
And like look at your own biases and be like, why do I like this?
Yes.
Why am I going for this? Yeah. And I'm really trying to do that. But for me, it's like even doing that, playing that thing, like I've heard people reference Trump as like comparing him to Hitler and stuff. Mm-hmm. And granted, if you listen to Hitler and stuff like that, people think, if you think you weren't in Nazi Germany and you think that you wouldn't have voted for Hitler, take a second guess, second look, because humans, like if you grew up in the place and you're indoctrinated with something, you're gonna think like that. Right. And that is the most important thing is being conscious of it and going back. And if you have access to learning, mm-hmm. like learning history, like they didn't have the Nazis, they weren't allowed to listen to other radio stations. Mm-hmm.
So they probably wouldn't be allowed to listen to the Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. They wouldn't be able to look at the other side. The Light We Cannot See. That's a Netflix series. It's really cool. It's like this. I don't want to spoil it, but this Nazi was really good with radios, and he was able to listen to this French broadcast, and they ended up being in a town located in that, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's a really good
what is
show.
It called?
The Light We Cannot See.
Okay, we should all check that out.
Basically he was able to learn different information from a different country and realize what was going on.
Get a different perspective. Because he was in an occult, essentially.
Yeah. And
he was in a Nazi occult.
Yeah, it's a really cool show.
Yeah.
It's so important to think for yourself and look at history, because you think you know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
But history shows the reality of what the outcome is.
Yeah.
The
And always
outcome.
listen to the other side.
And I struggle with that. I struggle with but some of the stuff just literally is crazy, like literally crazy.
Yeah.
When you listen to it, it's like it might, but people believe it. But
Yeah.
the same thing if you look at cults, it seems completely normal and right when you're in a cult.
Right.
When you live it, this is how things are. You don't have another perspective.
Yep.
So that at the same time, you can't hate other people
Yep.
for falling into it, because if you were in their shoes, you'd most likely be in the same place. You're not special.
And then all of a sudden you're falling asleep after you drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And there's no coming back.
Yeah.
It's like the people in Germany at some point they weren't able to listen to the other side, or maybe they weren't aggressive enough to seek out other sources of information. The people that actually stuck by Hitler, say like an SS military officer, and at some point, it's like you have time to get out. You have time to get out. You have time to stop. You have time to change your mind. And then you don't.
Yeah.
And then it's too late.
You're the boiling frog.
Yeah.
That is literally this another really scary thing. Is like, But I wanted to say another thing.
Okay.
I had a good thought. Come on, brain, work. I was going to the boiling frog, but I had something else before I was gonna say. Anyways, it might come back.
Okay.
Another time.
Okay.
But it's so important to really think and run through situations and go through history, because you can find parallels that nothing new is under the sun. Yes, we're in a different age. There are different variables now than there were before, because we do have so much knowledge. The problem is there's so much knowledge and sorting it. You don't know what is right and wrong, and that is why I like what you said, is listen to other sides, because I see things that I like classic left, classic right. There are things that I agree with on one side and things that I don't agree on the other side. And I think that we have a real thing, a real likelihood. What happens is, so if let's say we bound the left has it seemed like the extreme left side that I see that is literally is having really real world harm coming to the United States with everything going on. It tends to drastically from one side to the other side happens, and then you have extreme right, and that is scary to me as well too.
Well, yeah, it's scary because it's like basically, I think, you to say I'm a Republican, or to say I'm a Democrat, or to say I'm this or that, and labeling yourself as the label of the bucket that you feel like you're in, I feel like is not good, because I feel like if you're a sufficiently complex individual, you're not going to perfectly sit in any one bucket. Yeah. And so if you feel like you perfectly sit within the Democratic bucket, or perfectly sit within the Republican bucket, maybe you haven't researched enough or come to your own conclusions on enough topics, because it seems like to me the probability is pretty low that you check off every single box on all the ideologies of each side. Yeah. And most of the time you're going to find elements in both that you agree with, and then you can, if you're able to spot the differences, you can then stop labeling the other side, and it stops to be such of a gang war. Yeah. This is not a gang war. Yep.
I like this. This is something that happened to me, or I'll use this as an example. Evolutionists and Christians. I like this this kind of I like to play this out in my head. So there are certain things on either side that scientists you have. If you go to a evolutionist school, atheist school, and then a Christian school, They have things that parallel. And then once you get on this topic to where you start researching things or that data, that I think that there are things that are right on the evolutionist side, and I think that there's things that are right on the Christian side, but they will stop at a certain point. They won't research it or take credibility because they will say the Bible is completely false,
Right.
and then the Christians will say evolution is completely false,
Right.
and then they'll have these little propaganda wars. Like Christians will be like, carbon dating is completely wrong, and you can send a rock to them and it'll date the carbon in it will date millions of years. Well, guess what? Yes, it will. Because the way that carbon dating works is the carbon has to be undisturbed, and it is not a pinpoint accurate source of dating, and they will let you know. But that's like one of the examples that I
There's
hear.
exceptions.
So throw it out with the baby with bathwater. This is completely wrong because this
We
doesn't
can't
go
use carbon
with
dating
our
for anything
ideology.
because occasionally it is wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Essentially is what you're saying?
Well, no.
Oh.
No, what they're saying, they're using it as an argument because of the age of the Earth.
They're saying
should have added that premise.
they're cross-referencing the Bible
Yeah.
6,000 years to carbon dating. Carbon dating says this
Millions
rock
of
is
years.
millions of years. So then
Yeah.
they say, well,
This
they
is
both
completely
simultaneously can't be true, so I'm going to believe the Bible, so I'm just going to
Yeah.
throw this out.
It's a very people are like in the Christian world, they're really hardcore about
6,000 years.
yeah, the Earth is not older than this. And I think for me, I love science and everything. It doesn't make any rational, logical sense that the Earth is only 6,000, 7,000 years old or whatever.
Sure.
It does that is not that long. That is what would that? That's 700 lifetimes, something like that. If you live 100 years, 700 lifetimes.
So 1,000 years would be
Yeah,
about
yeah.
10 lifetimes, right?
Yeah, that's completely wrong.
So it'd be 60 lifetimes.
60 or 70 lifetimes.
Yeah.
What? That doesn't
But you don't know.
even 700 lifetimes. That is not a lot.
Right. Well, yeah.
That is easily comprehensible. If you look at the universe and everything, and you look at how many light years and everything is away, how far,
how vast the
a
universe
million
is. light years.
1,000 light years, or insane numbers, and
Mhm.
you're like, this rock is only 7,000 years old. Doesn't make sense to
Yeah.
me.
I hear you.
know,
I think there's
that's even a bad example too, because everything popped into existence, God created everything. But you look at geology. Geology is an easy one. You look at the erosion, how long it takes. Well, it happened super fast. No, it wouldn't erode that way if it happened super fast. You have a rock, and you even have the ones in the caves. And I know scientists, Christian scientists, would be like, well, they'll come up with some explanation and whatever. But there's always missing links, something off. But yeah. Anyways, why am I going on this tangent? That wasn't even my point of this. My bad. I shouldn't have gotten into all that. That was not
well,
meant to be my
and
focus.
I think it is interesting though, and I think that is something that we could possibly talk about on further podcasts, because I think that is something where I probably fall on a little bit more on one side, and you fall on a little bit more on one side. I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't really know. That it's not I don't have a lot of expertise in carbon dating or any of that. So
Let me go to the other side really quick. As
bring
an
out the
example.
point of why you brought that up.
Well, I'll go on to the evolutionist side as an example really quick, and then try to bring it back to where I was before.
Sure.
So, evolutionists, anything that has to do with a worldwide flood or something like that.
Yeah.
That falls into a religious context, and they don't want anything the Bible to be true, because there's this ego game,
Right.
or not ego. There's this bias towards a certain thing, and that's when it falls into a religious category and not a scientific category.
Right.
And both sides are guilty of it.
Well, it's
because there's Matt. I listened to this Christian.
Yeah.
He was an evolutionist and became a Christian, and he had some really really
points.
good points that were showing that there is massive evidence all over the world
Right.
of floods.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that is interesting. And this is rational, logical sense. And
Well,
where does that come from? Well, the evolutionist side, they put they do a disservice to their whole. They lose credibility by dismissing.
Mm-hmm.
In my view, I'm not going to listen to something because you're so biased. You have you're like hurt or whatever and insecure that there might be something true about religion.
Right.
You're so insecure about that you actually want this to be true. You have like some sort of
So you start cherry picking data.
Yeah. And that's the same. That's basically what is happening in a political sense.
I think that's super. I want to piggyback on that just a little bit because I think that's a valid point, which is so whether it's in the political domain, and I think this is the point that you were making, whether it's in the political domain or religious domain or scientific domain, it's basically, I don't think any one person has all the answers.
No.
And if you look at any one topic, whether it's creationism or evolutionism, and you say, okay, this is a problem, right? It's a puzzle, right? Picture you're trying to put together a puzzle, and you put all these pieces together, and you have a framework that you're looking at the world through, and there's like a couple pieces missing, and so instead of saying, hey, you know what? Maybe this picture, this puzzle picture that I'm putting together. Maybe this is a picture of a mix between. This is going to be a wild example. Like, I can't think of anything else on the spot, but like maybe this picture that I'm putting together is a picture of a lion, and there's some pieces missing, and it doesn't look quite like a lion. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, but it's a lion. I've got to make it work. So then you go and you cherry pick data, put it in there, and you're like, see, a lion. But then someone else comes along and they look at those pieces that you put in there and they go, those pieces don't really fit.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, it's like, look, if you're a creationist, it's a bear. It's a bear. And then they have missing pieces, and someone comes along and says, they don't really fit. Those pieces. But then if you sit there and you take elements from this side, and you take elements from this side, turns out it's a liger.
Yeah.
A lion and a tiger, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's the way it is with life. No matter what it is, no matter what topic, it's like you're trying to solve a puzzle, and sometimes I think you will never get to the complete picture because you've already looked at the picture that you're trying to solve, and you think it's a lion. And at this point, you're so focused, and you invested so much of your time and maybe also your reputation on saying that this is a lion, that you can't then let go and say, hey, this is not about pride. This is not about me being right. I'm going to let go and say, what do you have to say? What's your perspective on this?
I thought of a good example.
Okay.
Like a real world situation where that you made me think of this.
Yes.
So you've got a Christian that has a Christian scientist that's worked diligently his whole life coming up with this theory, and then you've got like their identities wrapped up into it.
Sure.
And then you've got an evolutionist who has the Clovis civilization. They've wrapped up their identity in the theory of the Clovis people in the United States that they call them Clovis people. My memory's a little bit shaky on
sure,
to
it's a
explain
theory.
that all
A theory.
in an easy way.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna not go into that.
Okay.
So you've got both of these people that are so wrapped up in identity, and then someone like Graham Hancock comes along and is coming up with this theory.
This new theory,
and it's backed up with his whole life's work, but
Right.
he came with a different approach
Right.
from, I don't care if I'm right or,
Right.
or I'm wrong.
Right.
He has a theory, he likes the theory, and he's had different theories, but the evidence is going with this theory, so he's steering to this theory because the evidence is backing
Right.
it up.
Right.
And
But then the
real
mainstream archaeologists and geologists and scientists are saying, you're a whack
They're
job.
angry because this person is absurd. There's no way this is right.
Right.
Like we have had this information for decades. The foundations
Right.
of where they are coming from.
Yeah.
It turned into it turned into a scientific project into an identity project.
Right.
To where their identity's wrapped up into this belief.
Right.
And when you have that, no, it's just not. It sucks, and you feel for those people because imagine your whole life you believed one thing,
right, and it's wrong.
And it's wrong. That could be horrible.
Let me piggyback that on that once again, because and then I'll plug this back into what we were talking about with the Tucker Carlson and Putin interview, which is that you know what a lot of the mainstream geologists and archaeologists are saying about Graham Hancock. I don't even want to be on a podcast with him.
Yep.
Because I don't want to validate his point of view.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I don't think, Joe Rogan, why are you giving a platform to this person that is clearly off?
They won't accept a debate. They won't debate. They actually, no, there's one person that will. Said they will. And what's really cool, I've seen a couple times, is like they will bring someone on, but they're nice to the person.
Right.
And they're not trying to crush them. They're just bringing up data and facts.
Right.
And like, and like you can kind of figure certain things out, but when you're so dead set on something, and like even there's people that you can show them the facts and they will still ignore it.
Right.
They will still ignore it.
And this is all while saying, like, and to me, I'm just gonna say this: Graham Hancock, in my opinion, could still be wrong. I want to preface all this because my area of expertise, if I have any at all, is definitely not in geology and archaeology and any of that. But I just want to say is like, is it possible that Graham Hancock is wrong? It's possible. Is it possible that these scientists are wrong? It's possible. But the main thing is, just like Tucker Carlson, is let everybody come together and discuss, and let's have just an idea meritocracy where the best ideas backed by the best data wins, and no one should be afraid about talking about new data or talking to someone new or talking with someone that has a different theory, because if you're afraid to talk to that person, if you don't want to platform them, if you don't want to have them on your podcast, if you don't want to have them on your show, if you want to shut down conversations surrounding them and their ideas, it must mean, in my opinion, that you're insecure about your own ideas. Because if your own ideas are truly the best, they will stand up to the test of data, critical thinking, and the populace deciding.
Yeah, what I like
Matt Walsh.
He's a conservative guy, but what he's and he
What is
doesn't
woman?
agree with what is woman. He's famous for that. But he talked about Graham Hancock when Ancient Apathics got on Netflix, which if you love archaeology, like ancient structures and stuff, go watch that. It is I'm watching it a second time. I love to have it on the background. Let's do a podcast
awesome. On it, dude. Let's or maybe on one of the episodes or something.
I'll have to do a deep dive. How about this? When I'm on the road,
yeah, we can do this more.
I can research or listen to more research more of this and like refresh my mind because it's been a couple years since I've listened to all of his books. I have them all. I wish you could get access to them, but it's on my Apple. Apple books. And,
it's okay.
But
I think there is some of his stuff on YouTube, and I did listen to him. I think on Joe Rogan a while back. Yeah. But I didn't want to plug something real quick. If you guys, anybody that's listening to this, if you believe differently than us, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. Also, I know I said with the first episode, I was thinking about it, like comments and everything. I will read the comments now. The thing I was thinking about is when it's big, like way bigger, like that's when you start not reading the comments because it can be crazy. Yeah. But we're small right now. I'd love to I'd love to engage, like comment. I will warn, my writing is not the best. My education level, I got did not. a lot of weird stuff happened with
You're not-
eighth grade, and,
Yeah.
and I skipped.
You're not traditionally
I skipped eighth grade,
educated.
and I skipped my junior year of high school, or halfway through, and my English really suffered. I actually want to go to school just to get my writing a little bit better. It's not the worst. I don't sound completely ignorant. It's just the way
Ignorant?
writing. I can read, and I can read very, very well. My reading comprehension is amazing. If
Well,
for some reason my dyslexia.
Yeah, that's
with
what I was going to say.
writing,
You have a bit of
I'm-
dyslexia.
It sounds like it makes sense. Like it'll make sense for me, like up to for a bit, but then I'll read it the next day and I'm like, wow, it's something to do with dyslexia. But anyways, I wanted to, I would love for your responses in the comment section. It'd be awesome. I know there's an hour and 50 minutes.
50 minutes.
Thanks to the 5 consistent viewers.
Hey!
Yeah. If you've listened to every video so far, comment below.
We'll give you a lollipop.
We'll give you. Yeah.
We'll send it to you.
We'll if you've listened to it, we'll both comment and send you our appreciation.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. I did want to say before I forgot, Matt Walsh.
Sorry, we kind of went on.
He commented. He said, "I don't agree with everything Hancock is saying because he's conservative."
Yeah. But he has some points.
But he's like, it's interesting theory. It's very fun,
open-minded,
and exciting. And he's not saying this is the truth. It's just out of everything. I am completely willing to say I am biased towards Graham Hancock because I love the data and research, and it's open-ended. And he's not like he's just bringing evidence forward, things to support his theory, and he has more support for his theory, and it makes more sense to me. More than anything else that I've come across, way more depth.
That's fair.
Way more depth, and like Christian evolutionists, both are unsatisfactory.
Fair.
So
yeah.
Anyways,
You ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, ready to wrap it up. I gotta get going, travel to Indiana.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
Thanks for listening, y'all.
Yeah. We'll see you next time on episode 11. So thanks for listening to episode 10.
Comment.
We'll give you a lollipop, maybe.
Don't be mean.
I'll send you.
Or be mean. I'll be mean back.
You'll
be mean back.
I'll be mean. I'm willing to be mean.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture of a lion around your nice.
Yeah. No, we'll keep it all good. Appreciate any feedback you have. Anyways,
all right.
peace out,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys. Take care.